Welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Sit back and listen to interviews, discussion about books, and anything else literary. There's always something or someone new on the show. Good evening, listeners. I'm Amy Shannon, and welcome to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast. Conversations, revelations, and inspirations behind the book. Tonight's segment is a new segment, and it's called Voices Uncensored, Voices Unsilenced, Voices Amplified. And we are unmuting the erased, so every voice can be heard. You never know where conversations will lead us, so let's find out. This is the first episode of this new segment. I have been thinking a while about wanting to do more for the causes that I truly believe in. And of course, would be of interest to me and hopefully you as well. My story time for all ages is not just about reading children's books, which I think all adults should do. And it also is a way to help promote literacy. I believe that everyone should know how to read. I think it is a right and a privilege, and those who cannot should be taught how to read. Something simple as reading a child's book might help spark something, and you could read a book without having to let people know that you have trouble reading. Some people don't read because of that reason. So that is just one of my causes. The other thing is that, I love history, so we have that segment, The Living Past, that I invite authors to come on, or I talk about history in my research, because I am now a local historian, for where I live in upstate New York. But this one it's also something very important. Now, in the United States, we have the Constitution and the First Amendment stating that we have the right to free speech. And with that information, it states, Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. Now, this is the United States, and this is the Constitution, and how it is exactly worded. Now, there are limitations, but they're reasonable limitations where you can't yell in a crowd, you can't yell fire in a crowded place unless there actually is one, or you can't use words to incite violence or insurrections or something even worse. So that is something that you might want to think about. In this day and age, there's always been book banning and book burning and things like that, and people being their voices censored. And it's global. It's not just in one area. Some people have reasons for their own personal reasons for why something should not be read. I personally believe that I don't want someone to tell me what I can and cannot read. I make that decision. What I can and cannot say, have the right to my own opinion. And since I live in the United States, I have the right to say it. I do not say anything that would incite violence, that I hope. It really bothers me when people's voices are silenced. And I'm not just talking about, banning books, but interviews. I've known authors that have had interviews on podcasts or other places, and then the interview was edited or not released at all because they decided to censor it. There are corporations that own sites, online shopping sites, online book buying sites. There are some sites that are just dedicated to books, and sometimes they decide, for whatever reason, that a person's book, an author's book, should not be sold on their website. So that's censorship. Obviously, they have the right to sell whatever they want, but they also have the book on their site and then they take it off. So that is something different, and that is censorship. Excuse me, my thoughts are kind of slow this morning, but I thought this was an important episode to do as soon as I came up with the idea and made announcements. If you are interested in supporting anti-censorship, there are many places you can go online. If you go to the American Library Association's website, which is ala.org, or org, sorry, there's no E. I am not a member because I'm not a librarian, and I am not sponsored by anyone. Anything that I say is about my opinion. If I am critiquing a book, it is because I chose to read it and talk about it, whether it is banned or not. Every year, the American Library Association creates a list of the top 10 most challenged books of the year. The most recent one is for 2024. And they say the top 10, and then when I'm looking at their infographic, it shows that there are more than 10 because a few books are tied. And I'm just going to announce these and let you know if I've read them or if I'm going to put them on my to-read list. When I buy books for myself, not requested by a book review, I choose it because I want to read it. It looks interesting. I don't care if someone else said it was a terrible book. I don't care if someone says, oh, you shouldn't read. Well, I do care if somebody tells me not to read something that I want to read. And sometimes I will read something just because it's banned. And and what those people who try to censor you, what they don't realize, and it's kind of like that reverse psychology theory where don't read this book, so other people are actually going to read it. And the people that are, they're like, censor this book, don't put it in our libraries, don't put it in our bookstores, don't put it in our schools. Obviously there are some topics that are not suitable for children, or their parents believe that are not suitable for the child to read until they're older or ever. But as a child grows older, they should be able to read what interests them. They should be able to read stories where they can relate to the characters. A lot of books that have been banned have to do with, gender identification or, alternate lifestyles, LGBTQ, plus, and I know there's a bunch of other initials after that. As a parent of a gay son, I have never, I support him and his lifestyle, and when he told me, it was like, okay, sure, I don't judge people because of who they love. It's just because some people have a different point of view on what an American or what a typical family should be. In the 50s, it was like you had the house, the dog, the mom, the dad, the brother, the sister. And that was the ultimate American family. But that's not every family. I was married twice. My first marriage, I had a son. My second marriage, I had 3 sons. Both marriages ended, and I raised 3 of my sons. And I did it the best that I possibly could. And when they enjoyed reading something, I encouraged them to read. And that was, their decision of what they wanted to read. And when they were little, I would write stories where they were the main characters and read them to them. And they love being, characters in a story. So that is one of the things I remember very well, reading to my children. And then as they got older, having them read back to me. So that was, that's something that I hold on to very dearly. And I'm going to go through this list, like I said. I'm going to start with number 10. It's called The Flamer by Mike Corrado. Tied for 8 and 9 is Crank by Ellen Hopkins and Sold by Patricia McCormick. Tied for 6 and 7, Looking for Alaska by John Green. Me and Earl and the Dying Girl by Jesse Andrews. Number 5, Tricks by Ellen Hopkins. Tied for 3 and 4, The Bluest Eye and the Perks of Being a Wallflower. The Bluest Eye is by Toni Morrison, and The Perks of Being a Wallflower is by Stephen Chbosky. I hope I said that right. Number 2 is Genderqueer, a memoir by Maya Kababi, and I probably butchered the name. That book I read, and it was remarkable. It's a memoir in a graphic novel because the person whose memoir it is is a graphic novelist, and that was one of the most unique books I had read, and I learned a lot of things that I didn't know before. The next book, I have it on my list, I just haven't read it yet. It's called All Boys Aren't Blue, a memoir manifesto by George M. Johnson. And these are just the top 10. According to the American Library Association, in 2024, there were 821 attempts to censor materials and services at libraries, schools, and universities. Most of the challenges were false claims of illegal obscenity for minors, inclusion of the LGBTQIA+ characters or themes, and dealing with race, racism, inclusivity, equity, and social justice. Of the 2,452 unique titles that were challenged, these 10, actually, let's see, and this was about 13 here, because some were tied. These were the ones that were the most targeted by people. As a parent, I'm a parent of adult children now, but when they were boys, young boys, I would not want someone telling me, another parent, a government agency, a librarian, a family member, whoever, telling me what I can and can't read to my children. I want to be able to locate a book that I want to read, and I want to be able to buy it and get it and read it. I don't want people to not read my work or not listen to my opinion, my thoughts, just because someone doesn't agree with them. We used to have debates, not violent, see it my way or else debates, but intelligent debates. That's what they would teach you in high school. They had debate club, and they taught children how to debate in a way that you say what you believe in, then you listen to the other person, and then you can respond, and they can respond to you in a non-violent, non-yelling, non-vulgar way. That doesn't happen anymore. And I am really tired of that. Things that I don't discuss with other people have to do with politics and religion. Yes, I have opinions about various subjects, but I don't discuss those particular subjects with pretty much anyone. I have seen friendships break. I have seen family members distance themselves, not talk to each other just because they don't agree on something. I've seen people coming out of the closet thinking that, and hoping and praying that the person they're talking to isn't going to diminish them in any way. I've had people come out to me, not just my son, but friends, and I could tell they were nervous about something, and then I would be like, oh, yeah, I already know. And they seemed surprised that I knew, and it wasn't because of a stereotypical thing. It was just that I found out a different way, and I don't need someone to tell me who they love. they can, but I don't need to have somebody to just come out and say it. And I think that's one of the things in the world that too many times people think that no one will understand them. So they're afraid of being different, or they feel they have to say something before someone else says it about them. And I think that's a bit sad. So that is also just a right to your own privacy. I don't need to know what's going on. I don't talk about, what my preferences are. Some people assume just because you were married to one gender, that may be what you are, but it's not always that way. People are individuals, every single one of us. As humanity a whole, people can kind of suck, but individuals, it's what makes everybody their own self. Even identical twins have their own self. And I believe that everyone should be true to themselves first, and then just be who you are. And those who don't like it, they can express it, but you don't have to be hurtful or violent just because somebody is not the same type of person that you are. So, as I guess this is like, it may be in some situations where this is kind of like my podium to talk about things that need to be said, I feel need to be said. And so I will use this as a platform to do that, especially when people are being censored, silenced. I want you to be able to scream from the rooftop, I love myself, and I am who I am. And I will say what I want. I will do what I want. I mean, there are things in life that we actually have to do. We have to, eat, but I wouldn't want someone telling me what I could not eat. We have to wear clothes, but I wouldn't want someone telling me what clothes I can and cannot wear. We have to pay our bills. That is just part of life and living. We take care of our families, and we need to take care of ourselves. And every single family is different. And when they look at you, if you are different, because sometimes people change. They get sick, they become disabled, or they're just not the same person. We're never the same person that we were 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. Just, try your best to be true to yourself. And authors, especially authors, when you're writing, write for yourself and then share it, because that is when your passion comes out. No matter what you are writing, it deserves to be read, to have an audience. Anyway, I'm going to sign off for now, and I hope you will join me next Sunday for my regular scheduled episodes. Every Sunday at 6 and 6:30 Eastern Time. I will have episodes, interviews, a few segments, things like that. So please keep joining me, keep listening, and the Uncensored, Unsilenced, Voices Amplified segment will run on the last Monday of the month at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So, thank you, audience, for listening. Please follow this podcast on Spotify. If you wish to be on the show, just go to amysbookshelfreviews.com/podcast and schedule your pre-recording. I'm Amy Shannon. Be safe, be well, and always be kind. Tune in here again next week for another tantalizing discussion. Thank you for listening to Amy's Bookshelf Reviews podcast.